lie, it's gotten worse in like the last year. So the only thing that saves me at night when I'm driving is because I know where I'm going, and thank God for GPS, because GPS talks me to where I need to be. Because I can't see the license plate in front of me. I'm gonna get myself in trouble right now. I can't see the license plate, like in the car ahead of me. Like if I'm driving up to a street, like to see the sign, I literally have to be under the sign to see the sign. Yeah, so I'm looking, like right now I'm looking at my phone. My phone is maybe 2 feet in front of me. And in the top left-hand corner, the only reason that I know that it says stop recording is because it's in blue, and I know that that's where the stop recording button is. But I can't actually read the letters.
Ma'am, can you get some contacts or some glasses in the 2020?
I do. I need to. I absolutely need to. 2020. That's one of the things that I'm going to settle on. But I also like the fact now that like I'm seeing like glasses are so cute. Like I said, like the picture that you posted today, the black and white. I was like, look at her. Okay. And I was like, oh my God, they do all kinds of sexy colors and the cat eyes.
Now, yeah. Okay, I agree.
Yeah. So
back in the day, I had some ugly glasses.
And that's one of the reasons why I stopped wearing them. So the last time I had a cute pair of glasses, like I said, my daughter was 2. She's 21 now. Going on 20, so almost 20 years ago, and they were a red frame, and no one was really wearing red then, so it was like really risque. And then after that, I was just like, I'm good. I don't really need them. And it's really only been in the last maybe 3 years that my eyes have gotten progressively worse. But you know what I feel like it is? It's because of cell phones and computers and laptops, and because the print is so small and like you hear all the time in your face. So when you move it away, everything is blurry.
Okay, we're gonna go with that. But you need glasses.
A little bit of old age. We're not going to talk about that.
You need some glasses, or at least some reading glasses.
I do. I need to. And you know what? I'm not. It's not even like a vanity thing. I'm not opposed to it or anything like that. I just felt like for years, at least the last, 16 years, that it hasn't really gotten worse, and like I can still read things like larger print at a distance, but I'm noticing that smaller print is getting a little bit, challenging. And so now I'm going with things by familiarity rather than actual by sight, which is a very bad way to live.
Well, don't come to Dallas and get a rent-a-car.
But that's what I'm saying. Thank goodness for GPS, because once upon a time, this is how old I am, we used to use a map, like the actual map.
I don't know how I could get around with a map. I couldn't do a map. Now, I was with the, get on MapQuest and print the directions out.
Right. So you print out the directions from MapQuest and you're gone, but you have to read it as you're driving. Those days are long gone. But I'm saying at that point when we had MapQuest and I was fine. Like I had no problem reading directions, and I would drive all over the place by myself, and never really like afraid to get lost and all that kind of stuff. But like I said, thank the Lord for GPS. Girl, the amount of time GPS saved my life. And I love how GPS, when you're in those rural areas where there's no signal, the GPS yeah, because I would be going nowhere. I need like for real.
Girl, I'm drinking this wine.
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna get a drink, but I feel like I'm just gonna act like an actual fool if you and I sit down and drink, or in the same space.
We would. Nothing accomplished.
So it is the end of the year. I felt like I should have done an end of an end of the decade, end of whatever. But I'm thinking like I haven't been podcasting that long that it's either here or there. You know what I mean? So like if this is released, it's released at the beginning of 2020. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the end of the year. It's at the beginning of something new, regardless. And what better way to do that than to spend with the fabulous Samantha of the Real Girlfriend Xperience. Welcome to the Pum Pum Chronicles. This is the last episode of 2019 and the beginning of a new year and a new decade. Girl, excitement. See that? Are you excited? Are you nervous?
I am. I think I'm more nervous about entering into 2020 because 2019 just totally took me by surprise. Now, there were some good things that happened in 2019, but then there were some things that was like, girl, you need to get it together and figure it out what it is that you want.
Yes.
So I would say that. So I'm kind of like timid about what's going to happen. So I don't really have any goals or anything like that. I'm just going to continue to do what I was doing in 2019.
Okay. For me, honestly, like when I sat and thought about the way that 2019 played out, despite the lows, 2019
Yeah.
was an amazing year. For the simple fact that I met some of the most fantastic people, like Samantha, and forged some really great relationships and bonds with people that I might not otherwise have had the opportunity to have done. So, despite the craziness, despite the the setbacks and the whatevers that happened, it's been a really great year for relationship building for me, and I'm grateful for that, and I'm thankful for that.
I will go ahead and agree. I will say that I had an amazing year. I think it just was really a year of self-realization.
Yes.
So realizing that I have some shit I need to fix and fixing that.
Yes.
So with that, like I said, there's been some excellent times. Like I went to New York, had a vacation, and we went to New York.
I like vacations.
Yeah, and then we went to Colorado. And, there was like a lot of sprinkles that went on top of 2019. But that self-realization part will take you down.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. So we are gathered here today. So for our final conversation of 2019, we wanted to talk about dating with children. Dating people with children or being a person who has children and dating and how you navigate that world because it's yeah, it's different.
It is way different.
It is. I know for myself, so when I got back into the dating game, my kids were at the time 5 and 2. And you never realize, like you always think to yourself, yeah, I can manage it, I can juggle it. Their dad was still very active in their life, and I had in their lives, and I had my mom there and all. But really and truly, it's a struggle. It's a serious struggle to develop a solid relationship with someone where anything can happen, where you either have to leave, cancel plans, give up your time is cut short, got to bring the kids. How do you introduce that person to your kids? Do they even like kids? Like, it's just, there's so much stuff that it's crazy. So
I will say that I honestly didn't think about. Okay, when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, I ain't gonna date no man with no kids." But here I am, right? Because I guess the older, I'm 38 years old, child. So, not saying that there aren't any men out there who don't have kids, but girl, most men have children.
Far between.
So I didn't think about that. I didn't think about the specifics, like the time, the introduction. I didn't think about that in detail before I went into relationship.
So if I can ask you, what would you say was the, like, other than the children aside, what was the most significant difference for you between the current relationship that you're in, dating a man with children, versus a relationship that you've had where there were no kids involved? What's the most notable and significant difference for you outside of the actual children themselves?
Time spent.
Right.
Of course, when you have children and they're of school age, they're going to be in activities. So sometimes if they're in activities, they might not know the times of said activities might happen. just because you have a calendar or schedule, anything can happen. And then if you're dealing with not having the kids 24/7, just scheduling the time to get the kids to go to these activities, or I need to watch the kids, just all time. Time is a huge thing, the difference.
So how did you adjust to balancing your time with him, with the understanding that your time may be limited? Like, how did that impact you? How did you balance it out within yourself in terms of dealing with it?
We're still trying to figure that out, okay? That's true, because it is hard. Like,
and it's ongoing.
I'm not supposed to have all the time in the world, but I mean, I will make time. Yes. So I don't want to always be the one that's on standby. Like, I need to see and wait for him. I need to continue on with my life and my daily duties. But we have to plan sometimes time together. Like, this is when I have time available, and make it work. So it's appreciating the time that we do get to spend together.
Has there ever been a time where it's been challenging for him and he said that, like, this is just too much, I don't think I can do this? Or for yourself, for that matter?
Recently, in fact. I mean, not that, it's really a balancing thing, right. In life, just me personally, work-life balance, right? So trying to balance my work, which includes my 9 to 5, on top of my blogging, podcasting, and whatever other social events that include networking, but then also including him, right? So it was hard for me to do, because I'm so used to doing it by myself, trying to include him into my life. So I know it's the same for him. You have XYZ element OP, and then you're trying to include A, which is me, into the equation, and trying to figure it out to balance it all. And then on top of whatever else you got going on personally, that's a whole thing too. So if you have a lot going on personally, then outside, and then trying to include a relationship is difficult. But I think the main thing is being able to communicate that.
So I remember when my children, they were at the time, I think, like 8 and 5. Mm-hmm. And I had gone through some like serious health issues. And at the time, the kids were living full time with me. They were seeing their dad every weekend and also during the week. But there was a time where I needed him to take the kids so that I could just focus on getting better. And so we had an agreement that he would take the children for 2 years, and then we would rotate the roles, where they would come to me on the weekends and I would see them in the week when I could. And so in year 1 that he had them, he began, interestingly enough, he began dating this woman, a white woman. I'm going to clarify that because it's important. It's important to note that. And so before the children came to live with him, he was spending a lot of time with her and her 2 children, her 2 white children. And so when our kids went to go live with him now he had to divide his time between that relationship with her and her children and his children. And what ended up happening is she gave him an ultimatum and wanted him to basically choose. Well, I can't do this. You didn't have them full time before, so I don't understand why you have them full time now. And, you're going to have to decide, because, it's either you're going to spend time with us or you're just going to be a full-time dad.
I forget we're recording, because I was about to be like,
okay, go ahead. Say it.
Let me go. What in the entire hell?
Yeah. And he said, first of all, nobody likes ultimatums. I don't care who you are. Nobody likes an ultimatum. But for someone to look at you, and that's why I had to say she was white and her children weren't even like biracial. They were white. And if she understood the difficulty that Black men have sometimes in having access to their children or being able to be a full-time dad even, she couldn't have fixed her mouth to say that to nobody, no time. But the audacity of her, you know. And I remember, like, you know, he and I always agreed that if either one of us started dating, we would have a very upfront conversation with one another to say, this is who the person is that's going to be in your children's life, whatever, I'm dating, whoever. And so he sat down and had this conversation with me. And like, I had mixed emotions about it because I felt bad for him that he had to end that relationship. But I was like, where's this bitch live? Because she clearly needs a punch in her fucking mouth. How dare you? You wanted him to choose between his biological children and your two white sons? How? How?
So, along the same line, my boyfriend's children are biracial. They are so that dynamic itself is a little bit different when it comes to disciplining the kids and whoop whoop, bloop bloop. So adding that into the factor is a whole nother thing too. Yes. Now, I don't know how she feels about the relationship or anything like that. That's none of my business. I need y'all to figure that out. But as far as being introduced to the children, I love kids. Let's go on record. I think everybody knows Samantha, the Real Girlfriend Xperience, Sdotmariedatsme, whatever you want to call me, loves children. Always have, always will. I worked in after school cares. I love kids. Kids love me. It doesn't even matter. Kids love me, period. They can meet me once. They're going to remember who Samantha is.
Yes.
That's also a thing. Being careful with that, like, you know, in the first introduction. Like, because if you have me around your kids are going to love me. So they're going to go home and be like, Miss Samantha, Miss Samantha, Miss Samantha. So how's your girlfriend? Or Miss Samantha, we painted. Or me and Miss Samantha, we colored. They're going to be like, who is Samantha?
Right.
So, you know, even now that's a whole thing because I do have my friends that are mothers and their kids love me. They feel some type of way sometimes because the kids want to be around me.
Yeah. People can't take that kind of thing personally. Like children gravitate towards good energy and people with good spirits. They just do. So the fact that your child or your children want to gravitate towards an adult that they feel comfortable with, that makes them happy, that gives them a good vibe, and you should be happy about that shit.
And so I don't think there's ever been an issue with that, but I have been introduced to the kids. He has 3. I'll say that. He has an 18-year-old, which adult. And then he has 2, so 11 and 5. So it's a bit of a struggle, but I have been introduced to the kids. I met the 18-year-old a long time ago.
Right.
But the 2 younger ones, I've met them. But he expressed to me that he wanted me to be a part of the kids' life because he wanted them to see someone, a Black woman, raising or teaching them the way.
Yes.
So to speak. So I've been introduced to the kids. I'm not awkward about it, again, because I like kids, but I think it is a little bit awkward for him, like trying to figure out how to mesh the two. I've never met her, and I don't know I don't know how to do this thing. Do I even need to meet her? I would think I would, so she would feel comfortable. I don't mind.
Yeah, at some point you would need to see. The thing is, when you're dating somebody that has children, it's a total integration. So it's not just about meeting the kids and developing a good rapport with them. That's the most important part. But you have to at least develop a decent rapport with their mother because she could fuck up everything. You know, yeah, if she feels some type of way, good or bad, whether she's justified it or not, she has the greatest impact on all y'all's relationship, because she can make life miserable for the kids and start to give their dad a hard time, where, you know, he was used to having regular access, and all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I forgot, you know, Jalen has ice skating. Oh my God, was that today? Oh, okay, hold on a second. Oh, you know, I must have confused that. All of a sudden it becomes a bugger excuse about, you know, why the kids aren't available. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I forgot. Oh, is your little girlfriend going with you? You know what I mean? Like all them kind of talks there. We're not here for none of that. But you do, like, at some point, you know, it's not to say like you guys have to be besties, but you have to at least have an amicable relationship, because, you know, suppose there's a school play and, you know, one of his kids be like, Samantha, I really want you to come to my school play or my school concert. And you're like, sure, no problem. And you go and she's there. You know what I mean? It creates an uncomfortable environment for everyone. And so, yeah, you know, and sometimes it requires us being, yeah, sometimes it requires us being the bigger person, because some exes are just not pleasant. Like, not for nothing. You could be sweet as gumdrops and they just don't like the fact that you're a woman around their picnic them. You know what I mean? Their kids love you. Their kids think that you're fantastic, but just for the simple fact that you're around them and you're, you know, he has an interest in you, the kids love you. It's like, oh, yeah, chill.
Yeah, it's the whole thing. I never even thought about everything that went into it. Not that I regret it, but I just never thought about it. I never thought about the nooks and the crannies of it. Because I know a lot of people who are single parents and they date, but I know a lot of women that are single parents and date. And so, like, did you ever introduce your kids to someone when you were dating?
Yeah, like there was a man that I was with when the kids were, it's a really weird story. Like, we were together for 2 years, and then I found out he was still in a situation with his daughter's mother. And so I was like, I can't do this. I'm done. That devastated him. He moved away. I didn't see him for 10 years. And then the strangest thing is, I was talking, my kids one day said, oh, Mom, you know, how's Clive? Have you ever heard from him? And then I swear to you, within like 48 hours, this man called me out of the blue. See, this is why you should change your number every 5 years, because people that you don't want to find you will find you with an old phone number. That's a total aside. But he was so involved that he would be at Christmas dinner with us, and the kid's dad would be there as well, at my parents' house, because he, like, their dad knew that this was, you know, my boyfriend. This was a person who was part of their lives. The kids love their father. The kids love Clive. My mom loved their dad. My mom loved Clive. You know what I mean? So it was like, it was a really strange dynamic, but it worked because I had said to their father, I am dating this person. This is such and such and such. And then I facilitated a meeting for the three of us so that it wouldn't be weird and awkward. Because one of the things that I never wanted, you know, they say like we're the ones to break the generational curses. I never wanted it to be a situation where, like, you know, it was just bad for the kids, because all I remember as a kid growing up when my parents got divorced is that my mom hated my dad and always trashed my father and always talked badly about my father. And so I grew up not talking to my father because of that. And I never wanted to be that kind of parent. And I also don't like when, like, there's no reason, I don't feel like there's a reason why you can't be decent to the person that your ex is dating. They're your ex. You guys aren't together anymore. So why do you care? You know what I mean? I don't want anybody to sit down and be miserable because we're not together. I want you to find happiness. I want you to be in a relationship, because when you're happy, then your children are happy. Right. When you're unhappy, they can feel that. And then I have to deal with the fallout of that. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But it can be tricky. It can definitely be tricky.
It's very tricky, but we're working around it, and we're willing to work around it, because I'm not going nowhere. He's not going nowhere. So we're going to make it work. But it's definitely something that I, as someone who don't have children, I didn't think about. like I said, younger years, I was like, oh, I ain't dating no man with no kids.
Right.
But that
But
was just, I ain't dating no man with no kids. I didn't think about the long run and breakdown of meeting the kids, meeting the mama, integrating the two, because I'm coming into your family. We're integrating, and you want to make sure that all the T's are crossed and I's are dotted, because you don't want no mess. You essentially just want everybody to get along, and so you're very cautious about it. And so that's where we're at, being cautious and making sure everything happens the way it's supposed to happen.
How long were you guys together before you met his children, or before that was a conversation?
So officially we were together. It happened, we've only been together, it'll be 2 years in February.
Yay.
So I met them in the summertime. So June I met them.
Okay.
So I've already been dating a year.
Oh, this June.
This June.
Okay. Okay.
And we met at a park. But it felt like we had did this already.
Okay, that's nice.
It felt like we had already did this, and it felt like this was my family, and I'm just meeting y'all at the park because I just went and got my hair done.
Right. Right.
It wasn't, my heart wasn't beating. Like, I'm just remembering the day. I was sitting on the couch. It was about 12 o'clock, and he called and he was like, hey, me and the kids are going to the park. You want to come? What? Of course. So I got dressed and went to the park, and we have this thing. Like, I was walking and I could see him, but it was a pretty far distance. And so he saw me walking, and we locked eyes and just started smiling. We're so girl. If you ever met me, be like, oh, so gross. And so when I walked up to him, his daughter was sitting next to him. His daughter is 5. And so he introduced us, and she was very, kids will act shy, but she ain't shy by any means necessary.
2 minutes or 2.5 seconds, and they're telling you everything.
Everything. And so the son was off getting tacos at one of the food trucks. And so I introduced him. He's very mannerable. The kids are very mannerable. And so they went to go play, and then me and him, we were sitting and talking, and I was just like, oh, God. Oh, I done met the kids. And so I'm gonna chill. The awkward thing is we're very touchy-feely. And so just being mindful about not being too touchy-feely. So that's where I felt like the awkwardness was from a little bit. But the meeting went great. Like, the kids were racing, and then she came back and she kind of like touched me. And so I was like, oh, she likes me. Because if she didn't like me, she wouldn't touch me.
This is very true.
So I think as more time goes by, the more time that they'll get comfortable with me. The son, he really don't care. He's chilling. He minding his business. It's the 5-year-old little girl.
Girls. The girl children.
These girls. So she probably like, who is this?
Right.
But the first meeting was wonderful. I couldn't expect it to have been that. It was good. It was like we've done it before.
Have you ever heard any horror stories about first meetings when people go to meet their person's children for the first time?
No, I haven't. And like I said, most of my friends who have children are women. And so most of the kids, they're good kids. They're not, I haven't heard any horror stories. So my expectation wasn't like, oh my God, how are these kids going to be? Because I've been around kids. I work around kids. So I know there ain't no really such thing as a bad kid unless they just acting out because of a reason. But no, I haven't heard of any horror stories. I was actually pretty surprised how mannerable they were. and how I got to see him with his kids.
Yeah.
So
it's a completely different side. A completely different side.
A whole nother different thing. And so then it had me like in starry eyes. Like his father. Come on. And how he was just very baby, shelling out money for the kids to get all kinds of treats. And I'm like, ooh, they got you. Come on. A snow cone. Can I get another one? Tell him no. But he wasn't.
No. Especially the 5-year-old men and their little girls. Oh my goodness, man.
That's a whole thing.
Yes.
So it was a good meeting, and I know that it's going to turn out well. I just think, parents are protective of their kids. And so it's going to just take some time, but then also just meshing the two.
Yes.
It takes time.
Did you have to work out like a routine or a schedule in order to make his life fit with yours, with all the stuff that you have going on, with whatever he has going on, and with his kids, to make sure that you guys have appropriate time or enough time with one another?
No, and we probably should. It's just on some child, I'm coming over. Like when I need my time, I'm coming over. And I know, we know each other's schedules and stuff like that, as far as we're concerned. So I'll say, hey, I'm coming over. Is it okay? And then he'll say yes or no, and I'll come over. And then vice versa. So there's really not like a set schedule. Like on Wednesdays and Sundays, we spending time together.
Right.
But we try to make sure that we do spend time together. People are tired, so we don't necessarily get date night, like going out on dates. And I wish that there was a little more of that. Like, we go to the movies.
Right. But then do you run the risk of falling asleep in the movie because you guys are tired? And so date night at home on the couch?
Right. And so a lot of times it's date night on the couch, which I don't mind because I like to chill. But then I do like to get out and two-step. Or, and you don't got to do that all the time, just every once in a while. Let's go out. Let's go out and have the experience. Because, I am Samantha, the Real Girlfriend Xperience. So I always want an experience.
Absolutely. So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's odd for the ex to have a key to his place?
In this scenario, yes.
Okay.
In the scenario that I'm talking about, yes, but then you saying that, I could understand why they would.
Right.
But then I'm like, well, why do you? Me being me. But I understand why they would, because if you're taking care of my children, I don't think they should, but I see why they would.
Right. So back in 2001, I had met this man, and we had entered into a long distance relationship. He lives in Jacksonville, Florida, and of course I lived here. And so I think like 4 months into it, we decided that I would fly down to see him for like 5 days. So he paid for my flight. I was going to stay with him and, all that kind of good jazz. So I go down there, and he lives in a 2-bedroom condo. So cool. So in the spare room, there's a vanity table. There is like the walk-in closet, and there's a dresser and a bathroom, a full ensuite bathroom. And that's all that's in that room. So of course, when I get there now, and he's like, do you want to put your stuff in my bedroom or the spare room? I'm like, I'm a girl, I need space, because I need to lay out my shoes. I need to, do all that sort of stuff. So I put all of my stuff in the spare bedroom. And then, of course, like I slept in his room with him and that kind of thing. So the first day that I get there, he has 3 children, 2 girls and a boy. And I brought like t-shirts for them that said, Canada and maple syrup candy and just, Canadian things so that they could, and they were sweet as pie, Miss AJ, like they were sweet, very well mannered and the whole nine. And then so he's divorced. Yeah, the story gets so bizarre. So the first day that I'm there, it's about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. He's giving the kids dinner or whatever. I'm tired, I'm jet lagged. So I go to take a nap. His ex comes to pick them up. And they were talking about me incessantly because he told them like the day before that I was coming. And so she knew that I was coming. So she comes to the apartment, she comes to the condo, and she comes into the bedroom where I'm sleeping. And so I had like curly hair. So I'm laying on my side. My hair is covering my eyes as it always does. There's another reason why I cover my eyes, because I can watch people and they don't know I'm watching them. So I'm watching her stand over me, just staring down, looking at me. And then I hear her say to him something like, oh, I thought I was going to get to meet her. It's too bad that she's sleeping. And she's saying this loud enough that if I weren't already awake, I would have woken up. But I didn't stir. I didn't budge. I didn't move. I'm like, oh, nah, bitch, we're not doing that today. Not at all. Okay. So she leaves. The day progresses. We spend the rest of the evening together. The next day we decide that we're going to go to the beach. Okay. So you remember I said in the spare bedroom, there's a vanity, no chair, the walk-in closet, a dresser, and the bathroom. So we leave, we go to the beach. We're out all day. We come back. I go into my room to go take a shower and change. And there's a chair at the vanity table. And so I called him into the room. I said, Tim, did you put a chair in the room before we left? He's like, no, well, the chair should be at the dining table. So I said, you need to come here for a minute. So he comes in, he's like, huh. I said, huh? He's like, well, I guess there's something I should tell you. What do you need to tell me? My ex has a key to the condo. Why? Oh, just, like, because the kids are here and sometimes like, she just wants to come by. Then why doesn't she call and knock on the door? And I said, this chair was not in here, which means that while we were gone, she came here and made a point of putting the chair in the room so I would know that she was there, which means she hands up my stuff, which means she went through my things, which means XYZ. I said, when we leave next time, you're locking this door because I'm not playing this game. So I was there for 5 days. 3 out of the 5 days, she came every day to try to catch me while I was awake so that I could meet her and say, listen to me. By the 4th day, I was ready to go to a hotel because I was like, I'm not dealing with nobody's psycho ex-wife. No time in life at all. And he's like, I'm going to take the key back from her. I hope this doesn't mar our relationship. I'm like, the fact that you wouldn't have a conversation with her about not coming to your place while I'm there in and of itself is a problem. The fact that I had to say to you, just crazy. So the standpoint that you're coming from, like, I can understand why she would have it, but she shouldn't have it.
Right. I understand the reasoning behind it.
If there's an emergency.
But I still feel like you shouldn't have no damn key.
Your mom should have a key. Your sister should have a key. Give a key to your neighbor if there's an emergency. But your ex shouldn't have it. Not like that.
Because child, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So then you come in here.
Yeah, when I got back to Canada, I was like, yeah, I can't really do this because she seems to have some kind of like hold on you still. I'm not fighting no woman for no man. I'm not trying to wake up in the middle of the night to see no bitch standing over top of me with a knife because she feels like she still has some kind of rights to you. I'm good.
Yeah, she still has a whole bunch of access to him.
All right, then. Just crazy.
You have a whole vanity. How old are the kids?
The kids were, at the time, like 13, 10, and 8.
They don't need no vanity.
So they weren't they weren't babies. You know what I mean? It's not like, and then again, my thing is like, okay, so you have a key to what end? Like when they're with him, it's his weekend or it's his days during the week or whatever the case may be. What would you need to come there for other than to pick them up? You don't need a key to do that. You knock on the door, I come to the door, I let you in, give you your kids, and you go along about your business. Like, what would you possibly need a key for? Like, that to me was a little bit too comfortable.
That was too much, child.
Yeah.
I get it. I understand the reasoning, I guess, behind it, but I still wouldn't be comfortable with having the key and coming in whenever she pleases. So that means you can come to the house at any point. All right, you're going to come in and you're going to find something you ain't going to like.
And that was always a concern because I'm thinking like, okay, so suppose we're being intimate and she just decides she's in the neighborhood and she's going to come in. And the thing is, I felt like she was the kind of crazy person that would do that for the simple fact that she came in the bedroom and stood over me and then is talking loud enough to try to wake me up. Even though I was already awake, she just didn't know that I could see her. You know, who does that? Like, who in their right mind does that?
She wasn't in her right mind.
No, that's someone trying to stake their territory and say to me, like, I'm still his woman. Like, you may be his girlfriend, but I'm still his woman, you know? So if it's that kind of competition, child, you can have him. You can claim him, right?
I live way up here. He lives
right?
From there.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I live too far to be fighting for any man that's not willing to fight for us. If you're not willing to fight for us and stand up for the fact that what she's doing is wrong, or you're scared to have a conversation with her about, you know, and then she had the audacity to say, well, yeah, she put the chair in the room because she wanted to use the computer and she just completely forgot to put it back. Really? Okay. That's the story you want to go with? No problem.
You forget that I'm a woman too.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I don't think, and I think for me, if any drama were to happen, it would be nipped at the bud because he doesn't do drama. I don't do drama because you don't want those problems around these parts. Because it doesn't need to be any drama. It doesn't need to be it.
Right. So if like I said, if she decided that she was going to get out of hand or say something that was snide or say something under her breath, or he would make
that. He would nip it at the bud. Good. I don't ever have to worry about. I will say that I won't ever have to worry about
that. Good. See, yeah, I mean, and that's a wonderful thing. It's like you sometimes have fathers because, you know, they're afraid that maybe they're not going to get to see their kids or whatever it is, that they won't stand up to the ex for fear of what she may do or what the repercussions are, which is sad and unfortunate.
Yeah, I think I don't have to worry about that part. He definitely would be like, look now, child, get it together. Need to do. I need you to get it together because this is not what we're doing. So that part I'm not concerned with.
I have a devil's advocate question for you. Mm-hmm. So his youngest is having an event at school, and she asks you to bake cookies, chocolate chip cookies, and if you can bring them to her event at school. And you're like, oh my God, yes, I will absolutely do that. And then you get to the event and both you and her mom have baked cookies for the same event because she went home and she asked her mom. Well, she said to her mom, Samantha's going to make cookies, and her mom decided to take it upon herself to also make cookies. What do you do?
Shit, it's a bake sale. We're going to put these together and sell them. What am I supposed to do? Okay, I'm all about peace and harmony, and I'm not dramatic. I can't. So if it's any type of like, I already sense that that's what it's going to be, I will probably honestly head out. Here's the cookies, honey. Whoop, whoop, bloop, bloop. I'm out. You know, say my little hellos and I'm out. But honestly, I think how it would go in my dynamic is if she asked me to bake the cookies, I'm gonna give the cookies to Chris. That's my boyfriend's name. I don't mind saying that. I would give them to him to give. Yeah, it would go like that until we get to that point where we all are meshed and we cool. Like there's no nothing.
Would you feel comfortable speaking to their mom about any issues that may arise? Or would you go through him to deal with that?
Him, because that's even with anybody. Like if you, let's say that you were married and I found out something about your husband, that's a marital issue. I ain't married. I ain't about to. So I would come to you or somebody that's married. Like if we had a crew of people, I would go to somebody that's married and I would say, look, I need you to talk to AJ because I found this out. So right. You can go, so the married person can come and talk to you because I feel like I'm single. I don't know married stuff, folks, that part. So I would go through the chain of command. That's what I'll call it. To eliminate any mess. I think it's safer that way.
Okay. And then how do you feel about discipline? So if for some reason Princess lost her mind one day and decided she was going to be rude to you, is that something that you address directly with her? Or again, is it something you address with her father for him to address it with her?
Father, until we get to a point where, excuse me, I know that has to be a conversation, but wherever we get to a point where that can happen. But it's always, I'm going to go to him and be like, child, whoop the whoop, bloop bloop, she got a smart mouth, you need to go talk to her.
Right.
And that be a conversation. But I would tell her, you shouldn't have said that. But I'm definitely not going to be disciplining her. Not now. Maybe later when we get to a point that can happen. But no, I'm gonna talk to the dad first and be like, she over here cutting the rug. I need you to go tap that.
Right. How do you feel about not necessarily you, but how do you feel about people disciplining their partner's children? Is that a no-no? Is that a reasonable expectation that if you're part of the child's life that you should be? And I'm not talking about like physical punishment or anything like that, but like, putting them in a timeout, taking away their electronic devices, like whatever it is. Do you feel that it's reasonable for a girlfriend to be issuing discipline to her boyfriend's children, or a boyfriend to be issuing discipline to his girlfriend's children? Is that reasonable, a reasonable expectation in a relationship, or it just should never be done?
I think to each relationship is different, but for me, it would need to, of course, be a conversation on who's going to, because like, okay, in my household growing up, my mother was the one who issued the discipline as far as getting popped. Now, my dad was able to say, look, you ain't going to be playing with XYZ element of P. But, so I would say in this type of relationship, there should be a point that I get to in the relationship where I am comfortable with saying, you can't be doing that. I need you to sit down. Because I've watched kids before and their parents allowed me to discipline their children. So I would hope that we get to a point in a relationship where he entrusts me to steer them in the right direction. Right. Because that's basically steering them in the right direction and not allowing your kids to, have any harm, hurt, or, danger, that I'm going to keep them safe. Right. So I wouldn't mind. Sit your butt down somewhere.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree, because it's like, if I'm going to be an integral part of your life, your children, regardless, shouldn't feel like they're able to run amok because I'm not their mom. Like, that has nothing to do with anything. Like, I'm an adult. There's a level of respect that they're supposed to have, whether, I'm their teacher, the man at the grocery store, the bus driver, whoever. The fact that you and I have a personal and intimate relationship gives even more weight to that, where, I should be able to say to them, you need to stop that and go sit down for 10 minutes. And we're be, well, you're not my mom. You can't tell me what to do. Like, I'm not your mom. But yes, I can tell you what to do, and you need to go sit your tail down in the corner for 10 minutes. Like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I definitely agree with that.
Happening though, like okay, so sit your butt down because you know you shouldn't be up there. Then have the conversation with boyfriend, girlfriend. Hey, so and so was up on the couch jumping. I'm just letting you know that I told them to sit down because you know kids will make up stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always feel like it's I kind of like liken it to, I remember when my children were younger, and we used to send them to Florida every spring break to my parents' place. And I remember one year my mother called me and she's like, the kids are not listening, they're just out of hand. And I'm like, whose kids? Because that's just not they, right? Yeah. So I said, put them on the phone. So
yep, there you go.
Put them on speakerphone. I said, can you both hear me? They said yes. They said yes, mom. I said, listen to me. Don't let me have to come down there and bust your ass. Okay, mom, sorry. And that was the only time I heard from my mother in regards to a complaint from them. Because I'm thinking, like, I know they didn't go to Florida and lose their mind because they have to come home and deal with me. And that's not a pleasant. Oh, go on, act crazy. So I would like to think that if, they're adults now, but in any relationship that I'm in, I would like to think, one, that you're going to be respectful to the adult that I am with, regardless. And that two, if you're not respectful, that you would have respect enough to listen to what it is that they say if they tell you to turn the TV off and go sit down for 10 minutes because you're not listening or you're misbehaving or whatever the case may be. Of course, having the courtesy of having that conversation with me is very important. But I would like to be with a person where I can trust that they can do that without it always having to be, because the thing is, it's like, okay, if you and I are married and we have kids together, I'm not going to say to you, Sam, I had to, pop Johnny because he wasn't listening. If you come home, you're like, why is Johnny sitting in the corner? I say, because he was acting crazy. You know what I mean? I had to bust his tail. So he's sitting in the corner thinking about life and contemplating the foolishness that he just did. You know what I mean? So that's like if you come home and take, but I'm not gonna like call you in the middle of the day and say, hey, did you know that I had to, right. You know what I mean? Like I would like to be with somebody where I can trust them enough that if discipline is necessary, that it's because it's necessary, and they're doing it as corrective measures so that the child understands you can't run amok and act crazy because your dad's not here. Don't do it because you're gonna get in trouble with me. And if I have to tell your dad, you're gonna get in trouble a second time because you had to make somebody talk to you to begin with,
And so I think like even when I've watched kids before, like I was a little nanny for a little bit. And well, not really, but yeah. And so the little girl, she wasn't bad. She just didn't have any structure at home. And so she loved me and she would listen to me, but she would run amok at home. And so she did something that was just out of the ordinary when I told her mama what her did, because it was just so like
left field.
It was so left field. I had to tell her mom because I just couldn't believe that that's what she did. And so, but her mother said to me, well, what were you doing that she did that?
I'm sorry, what? What?
That's what I said. What do you mean? What did I do? Yeah, I went to the store. That's where I was. I wasn't in the house. No. If I tell you what she did, she's done that before. Had to have.
Yes.
And so I took note then, like, oh, okay, child. Mm-hmm. And so I'm okay with disciplining kids. I worked around kids a lot. So sit down now.
Yeah, but you have that mom tone and you have that mom face where they know you're not playing around with them. Like, in this exact moment, I'm not here to be your little friend. You need to sit your ass down somewhere.
They laughing at me. No, they laugh at me though. But when I really do get serious, I get my little mom voice and I practice it. Sit down for a poppy.
Yeah.
So I think that would not be an issue because, like I said, when I first met them, they were very mannerable. Of course, we're dealing with a 5-year-old girl. When they grow up, teenagers are back. Ooh.
So I say, give her time. She hasn't hit puberty yet. That could change a little bit.
And then, that's the whole thing too. So going back to the baby mother or the mother of the children is white, right? Mm-hmm. Disciplining is a little bit different.
Yes.
When they're away. So they act a certain way when they're with their mom versus when they're with their dad.
Yes.
But when they're with their dad, it's like, I'm gonna straighten up, fly right.
Yeah.
Not so much. Yeah. So when they get with their dad, they know not to play that.
Yes.
So that's a whole thing too.
Yeah.
So
what would you say are the most important things to be mindful of or to put into practice when you do decide to date someone that has children or a child?
Woo.
Be patient. Patience.
A lot of patience. Some people can't do it because they want their time. And when they want to be with him, they want to be with him. They don't want any excuses. And that was me. But sometimes I have to take a step back and be like, child, he's already running on 0 because he has XYZ element OP. So you have to figure out, is this worth it for you to go through this? Because it's a lot. So patience, strength, talking to people who have been through it. So being able to talk to someone who has been through it and kind of get like some type of guidance, because I went in this like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and not really thinking about it. I talked to my sister, but she's single, but she was like, that's something that I thought about already. I was like, girl, I didn't even think about all the odds and ends of dating somebody for children. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm not dating nobody with no kids, but I didn't really think about it. And so I would say patience, endurance, all of those things, okay? Because it's going to take you through, and be ready for the roller coaster ride, because it's definitely going to be one.
Also, too, I think it's important to, you have to be, what's the word I'm looking for? You have to be confident in your relationship with that person. Now, mind you, there's a level of security that they need to provide you with, but you have to be confident and secure in your relationship, because if you let your mind start wandering, you can start craziness, right? Because there are times where, like, his 5-year-old is sick and, he has to go to the house because she's sick. And she says, Daddy, can you stay? And he stays because his 5-year-old is sick. You can't go to that place like, oh, I know he's staying, because you have to trust and be secure enough in your relationship with him to know that the only reason he's staying is because his 5-year-old is sick. And were she not sick, he wouldn't be staying there longer than 5 seconds.
And I think that that's a progression too.
Yes.
I think maybe early in a relationship, you might be like, okay, child.
Right.
And as it grows, as you get confident in your relationship, and baby girl is number one, so she is sick and she wants her daddy to stay, that's where I'm going to be. Yes. And so understanding that you better be sleeping in her bed and not her bed.
I want you to FaceTime me so I can see that she's laying on your chest, and which means I know you're not getting up, not even to pee. You're going to be laying there with a cramped arm and a cramped leg. Thank you. Good night. Like, you know what I mean?
You, good night.
Right? Hope he feels better in the morning. Like, look, but you see what I'm saying? One of them, the kind of scenarios, you know what I mean? But yeah, like you have to give your person that level of security so that they're not feeling like something else is going on when nothing else is going on, right? But for women who are dating men with children, we have to learn how to not self-sabotage in conjuring up all kinds of crazy. What? I called you 5 seconds ago. You didn't answer me. know you were doing. I know you weren't there for your daughter. I know you were sleeping with that bitch. Like, no, I went to go pee because she rolled over, and I went to go wipe the drool off my shirt and uncrap my hand and pee so I can come back and lay in the same position for her to continue drooling on me. Like, is that okay? Like, right. So, just not going to that place in
Okay,
your
so
head.
that's the whole thing too. So that's part of the roller coaster ride, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like you're going to go through that, but
Yes.
that's something that you grow through. So yes, I agree with that. Thank you for bringing that one up because that was important. 'Cause that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's worth the ride because I'm not tired. But there are days, and I think that's just a part of a relationship, whether you have kids or not. It's a roller coaster. It's a roller coaster ride.
Yeah. But you know what? Any good relationship is worth it. And as you said, one of the most important things that you said is that it shows you a different side of him that you might not otherwise have seen so soon. It might have taken a number of years more, but you get to see a completely different side of him. Like when men are dads, not just fathers, but when they're dads, they're like a whole other creature. Like some of them, it's astonishing. It's like,
You act like that, but you don't act like that with me.
no time, right? Then that puts me in my feelings. I'm like, can I get a little bit of that, please?
No, but it was really good to see him with his kids, and especially when he talks about his 18-year-old.
Yeah.
I see how he's a proud father.
Yeah.
How he talks about him and how they are at a space now where they can actually have like deep conversations about the world and life. And so, I always will tell him keep that, and I always tell him to keep that relationship with his daughter because father-daughter relationships are so important. So I always talk to him about his kids and like being involved, and he's involved in his kids' life, but like do not detach from your daughter even when you think that you don't have nothing in common with her when she gets to her teen years. Be there.
Absolutely.
Do not be unavailable to your daughter because that's ruin her for years to come. So I speak to him about that because I always talk about my relationship that I have with my father and making sure that he is there and like there, not just there, but there for her. So, yeah, I'm just excited to see where it could go. In fact, I will share this. I know it sounds corny, but one day it was like a Sunday and I was cooking and I could physically see like me in a house cooking in the house that we have, and he's in the other room screaming at the TV watching football. And I had just finished washing my hair, and I had washed the little girl's hair, and I sent her to the room. I can see that.
Yes.
So
that's beautiful.
I'm trying to be Mrs. So.
All right. I told you I fly. I got frequent flyer miles. I'm coming to Dallas for a wedding.
Well, it might not be Dallas. I really try. If
destination weddings.
Yes, cause child, I don't got time for all the other stuff.
Destination weddings are beautiful. They really are. They're beautiful.
I would really like to do Jamaica, to be honest. So yeah. That was a wonderful conversation. Some things I never really thought about.
But before we go, we're going to talk about the year 2019, and the decade in reflection. So I have some questions to ask you.
Okay.
Ready for me?
Yes, ma'am.
What's one of the most valuable lessons that you've learned this past year? Just one. Just one.
Sit your ass down.
I know what that means.
Okay.
So I'm going to move on to my second question. What's the most surprising thing that you learned about others this year?
Ooh. everybody is not what they hype themselves up to be.
Listen to me. I get you. So I'm leaving some shit alone. I'm leaving it alone. I catch it. I receive it. I'm letting it go. What's the most surprising thing you've learned about yourself this year?
Ooh, that I am not okay.
And you know what? That's a good thing, to be able to recognize that you're not, and that you're getting help for it. That's a beautiful thing.
Mm-hmm. You know, I think we get to a certain age where we're like, okay, we can't say this is why we are the way that we are, and whoop, whoop. Let's figure out why we are the way we are. Absolutely. And so I've been in therapy figuring out, why am I the way that I am?
That's a wonderful thing. I wish more of that for people, not just in 2020, but like in the next like entire decade, that people start to become more comfortable with the idea of therapy and with the idea of really figuring their stuff out so that they can make progressive strides to do either something different or do better.
And so my hope is, I know that I'm going to do better, because this is actually, yes, I am Samantha, but baby, once, as I'm making strides to becoming better, just imagine, okay? Imagine the greatness.
Yes.
So I'm excited about it. I love my therapist, baby. I'll get in there. I have an appointment coming up this Saturday. She's gonna be, I'm just getting there to sit on the couch and be like, girl. And she's gonna be like, don't ever go 3 weeks without seeing me.
Yeah, 3 weeks is a long time. But you know what? I was thinking that therapy needs to be, first of all, therapy needs to be destigmatized. People needs to stop classifying it as being like an ugly word, or it's any sort of like ugly, like something's wrong with me. Oh my God, I need a therapy. Like, stop attaching the ugliness to it. But I feel like if more people were willing to actually look at themselves and figure out themselves, people would stop reinventing themselves like every month or every couple of months, or new me, or there's no new you. This is the same you, just make a better version of you.
And so I've been on this journey for like a while now. And so now I'm just at a point where it's like, okay, we need to, tick and tie, and let's figure some things out so we can complete the journey. Because I've been on the self-discovery journey for a little bit. And so now I've been prolonging going to therapy. And that was just a fear of mine. Not that I thought it was anything scary. It was just, procrastination at its finest. And so now going, I'm like, oh, okay, girl. I go into it like it's a conversation. So when I tell people, I'm like, child, and once you find the right therapist for you, I alluded to the fact of having a girlfriend. Baby, we be in here cutting up in the office. So I enjoy it.
What's one thing that you're leaving in 2019 and one thing that you're definitely bringing with you into 2020?
I am leaving. Ooh, what am I leaving? Child, that one's tough. I am leaving procrastination.
That's a good one.
What I'm bringing with me is not doubting myself.
Good.
Self-doubt. But that is hard, because we do have times where we doubt ourselves, but I'm the shit.
Good. Say that shit again. Say it again.
I am the shit.
Bam. Okay. What are your 2 top successes for the entire decade? Not just this year, but for the decade.
Shit. Oh my God. I've never thought about that. And I know you sent me these questions.
That's okay.
That's 2009 forward.
Yes.
And I'm here. Damn. I'm here. Okay, so I would say I started modeling. I stepped outside the box. I'll just say that because that encompasses a lot. I started modeling, networking. So then that's when I started doing the Real Girlfriend Experience and blogging and stuff like that. So I really pushed myself to step outside of the box that I kept myself in. I kept myself in that box.
I like that. Okay. What is your greatest personal achievement of 2019?
Then I started going to therapy. That was like for me. It really was. It was really a great thing. And I was actually supposed to start like at the beginning of the year. But in April, and I started in June. So this is fairly new. So actually me getting up to go to therapy. And I'm like, why did I wait so long? So that's a great thing.
Okay. What is one must do in 2020?
Travel more.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I need to see a beach. I didn't get to see a beach here.
Okay. And last but not least, what parting words of wisdom do you have for anyone needing support going into the new decade?
Believe in yourself. Encourage yourself. Find your tribe. And I know that that's like, a lot of people say they find your tribe. But when I say find your tribe, people that think like you, that are encouragers and that will uplift and encourage you in your days that you have not so good days. Because we don't all have good days. So find your tribe, your people. And they may not even be part of the same tribe. They could be all over the place. They might not be your girl group or your guy group. They might be different people from different areas, different walks of life. But yeah, okay. like mine. So find your tribe. It took me a while, and actually, they're still coming.
Yes.
And I just paying attention, being more self-aware, and me being more aware of your surroundings. And I'm not saying like surroundings, like I'm going outside. Be open.
Yes.
That's it.
Well, that concludes our final. I don't want to say it's our final because I feel like it's a new beginning to the new year, the Pum Pum Chronicles. Whoop, 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 whoop. Please let everyone know who you are and where they can find you, my wonderful, wonderful Samantha. Thank you for doing this episode with me.
I had fun again. So Sdotmariedatsme, Samantha, the Real Girlfriend Experience. I'm on hiatus until further notice. However, if you want to listen to my podcast, you can find it on, I'm everywhere. Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, Google Play, and it's the Real Girlfriend Experience with an X. You can also follow me on my blog, which is on my website, The Real Girlfriend Xperience. Also, I'm on, I don't even really got to say Twitter because I'm not really on there, but I'm on there. Facebook, The Real Girlfriend Xperience with an X. Also on Instagram, but I'm really most on my personal Instagram right now while I'm on hiatus, and that's S.Marie. That's me, Datsme. And you can follow me there too and follow all my antics. I don't really be posting much, but I do Insta stories.
I like your Insta. It's very motivational. Very, very motivational. And of course, I am your host, AJ Badass Jones. You can find me on the Pum Pum Chronicles on Anchor, Spotify, Google, Apple, and Stitcher. I am on Twitter at Tpp Chronicles. You can find my podcast page on Instagram at the Pum Pum Chronicles Pod. I'm also on YouTube at the Pum Pum Chronicles Pod, and my personal page, of course, where the juicier things happen, is badass_Jones_. And if you want to email me, you can do so at thepumpumchronicles@gmail.com. So I'm going to be starting the hot seat, the women's edition, in January. So I'm just letting you know I'm going to draw you out and you're going to sit in the hot seat with me.
I'm going to be in the hot seat.
You know what? I have confidence that my ladies are going to do better than the guys because only 2 out of the 10 guys beat the timer and got all the answers. So the ladies need to come strong and kick some ass. Kick some ass. I want my ladies to win. So we're going to see how this goes. I'm going to have to do like a competition series at some point where it's a guy against a girl and see how that goes. Kind of like hit the buzzer, the first person to answer type of deal. I don't know exactly how I'm going to work that out yet, but that's definitely something I want to do as well. So I'm looking forward to having you back to be in the hot seat at some point in time, madam. Thanks for a great time. Happy New Year. I love you so dearly. It's been a great experience. And this place that we are in and this journey that we are doing together, I am grateful for you. I'm grateful for it.
Girl, don't give me the crying because I am emotional.
Because when you talk about finding your tribe, like you and I have had this conversation off air, and it is really important because people always feel like you have to be friends with people who live in the same city as you, and that's just not the case. Like you and I are so compatible and so like-minded, and we get each other without having to say like all the other bits and pieces in between. Sometimes it's just a look and we're like, and you just know what it is. And I am grateful for you. And that's why I say like 2019, for all the whatevers that happened, the best parts of 2019 are all the people that I've bonded with, and you are definitely one of them. So,
Thank you, and thank you.
Thank you.
Are we leaving? I don't want to leave.
No, I'm just going to stop recording.
Okay.